Hey everybody, so today I'm going to talk with you about OCPD. You're thinking, what does that stand for? It stands for Obsessive Compulsive Personality Disorder. And we are going to talk about what it is, how we diagnose it, and what our treatment options are. Now OCPD, because it's a diagnosis, is in the DSM. And that is what I am reading from for a lot. And I also have my notes because I did a little research for you. I'm always doing research for you. And so what it says is that OCPD is a pattern of preoccupation with orderliness, perfectionism, and control. And these desires or patterns of behavior will come at the expense of flexibility, openness, and efficiency. I know that's a lot, but let's think about it. So what it's saying is that OCPD, if I have it, that means that I spend a lot of time, I'm totally preoccupied with things like orderliness. I probably love to-do lists. I love doing things exactly as I was told to do them or exactly as I believe they need to be done. And you can see why that would come at the expense of flexibility, because I'm probably not very flexible or open to change or change of plans. I can't really be spontaneous, and that may be difficult for work relationships because they said efficiency is also an issue. I would assume that would be because I have to do things a certain way all the time, and also relationships in my real life with family, friends, spouse, loved ones, all of that stuff could be a little difficult because I might be kind of rigid. So that in a nutshell is what OCPD kind of is and kind of feels like. But now I'm going to tell you how we actually diagnose it. And so I'm going to read out of the DSM. But what we have to have is we have to have at least 4 or more of the following 8 symptoms, okay? 4 or more from the 8 symptoms. Now the first is the preoccupation with details, rules, lists, order, organization, or schedules to the extent that the major point of activity is lost. So that means, like I said, we're so focused on the details and doing everything exactly as it's supposed to be to us that we lose the actual reason that we're doing it, or maybe even the enjoyment of it. I'd assume board games would be really difficult because we're so focused on it being done in a certain way, an exact way, that we can't even have fun with it. The second shows perfectionism that interferes with task completion. So that could mean that I'm writing a report for work and it's due tomorrow, but I have to keep rereading it and doing rewrites over and over and over, and I just can't get it done in time. I'm late. I missed my deadline. Even though it technically was done before, it's not done perfect enough. Number 3 is excessively devoted to work and productivity to the exclusion of leisure activities and friendships. And I think this is probably what's hardest for those around us if we struggle with OCPD, is that we're so focused on working and being productive and doing everything just right that we won't take time to go on a hike with friends or catch up over dinner with that, loved one of ours. Instead, we feel like we got to get things done, we need to keep going, and that can be really difficult. And number 4 is over-conscientious, scrupulous, and inflexible about matters of morality, ethics, or values. And this is an important caveat to remember. It also says that it cannot be accounted for by cultural or religious identification. So what that really means is it has nothing to do with where we are or what we believe in church or religion or whatever, but we have a very rigid set of morals, ethics that we've created ourselves, and we will not bend. It is what it is, it's how it's supposed to be, and we're way over conscientious about it. Things that people would think aren't bad or going to be unethical, we're like, whoa, 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 that's not okay. So we're very rigid. And number 5, and the one that I actually kind of found to be the most interesting, was that they are unable to discard worn out or worthless objects even when they have no sentimental value. And the reason behind this kind of belief is that they never know when they might need something, and they don't want to not have what they need when they need it because they have to do things just a certain way. And this is really difficult on spouses and roommates of these people because some of them kind of appear like hoarders, pack rats. They keep a lot of stuff and they'll stash things away because we don't know when we might need it. Now number 6, and this one was something that it kind of makes sense based on the other ones we've already read. But number 6 says that they are reluctant to delegate tasks or to work with others unless they submit to exactly his or her way of doing things. And we can see why this would happen. If we like things done in an exact certain way, and we may even be late turning in a report because we have to keep rewriting it, it needs to be perfect, it'd be difficult for us to relinquish any control to anyone else, especially working in group projects. That would be like our worst nightmare. And number 7 adopts a miserly spending style toward both self and others. Money is viewed as something to be hoarded for future catastrophes. And I think we're kind of seeing a pattern here, right? We don't know when we might need things, and everything we do has to be done a certain way. And so we don't want to spend money because what if we need it later? What if something happens? And there's this like vein you can see through all of OCPD that is like, I have to have things happen exactly as I want them, and I need to make sure I have everything I need when that has to happen. And so they tend to be very, very frugal with spending. And number 8, and I feel like this one kind of goes without saying, but it says shows rigidity and stubbornness. They don't want to change. These people want things to happen exactly as they want them to happen, and when they can happen the way that they want them to happen, they feel a sense of relief. I remember when I was studying to take my licensing exam, the way that I remembered OCD, like I said, I have a video about OCD if you want more information on that. The difference between OCD and OCPD was that OCD itself is ego dystonic, meaning it feels really bad to me. I hate it. I hate that I have to switch this light so many times or wash my hands or have to have this. I hate it. I hate counting. I hate doing it. OCPD is ego syntonic. It actually feels better to them. They like having all of their rules and having the rigidity. It feels good. It's in some ways a comfort. Another distinction I want to make, because I think it's important for us to see the difference between OCD and OCPD, is that people with OCPD, what we're talking about in this video, do not have true obsessions and compulsions like those with OCD do. Like we're talking about, they just have a rigid way about them. They have a very strict guideline on the preoccupation with like orderliness and having things happen this certain way. There isn't just an obsession and a compulsion where it's like, I need to wash my hands X number of times, or I only like odd numbers or even numbers or anything like that. It's not quite the same and cut and dried as OCD is. So now that we know what OCPD is and how it's diagnosed, I want to talk with you a little bit about treatment options. And you'll know that when I've talked about personality disorders in the past, a lot of the treatment options seem to be kind of bleak. And people will say things, people will have opinions and say like, oh, personality disorders, they can never change. And you know, it's just something that's gonna follow them for the rest of their lives. And you know, if you've been watching me for a while, that I don't subscribe to that belief system. I think the one thing that they don't take into consideration when they're talking about treatment is someone's real inner desire for a better life or for their relationships to be better. Even though someone with OCPD may feel comfort in having things orderly and perfect, that doesn't mean that they're not a human and they don't feel maybe bad that their relationships are suffering. And I don't think that a lot of the research and a lot of the treatment options really take that into consideration. So know that some of the things that they find to be the most successful as far as treatment for OCPD is group therapy. And I couldn't agree more. I think sometimes we feel so lost and hopeless and helpless that hearing from others that they're going through something similar can be really healing, and it can also help us learn some tools and tricks and tips like we share on our channel and our community that will help us better manage it. So they say group therapy is best, and I also just read an article about how psychotherapy can really help because it gives you some tools and tips to help with the symptoms that you're experiencing and the ones that maybe are affecting your relationships the most, and so you can focus in on those and help change those patterns of behavior. And if any of you have struggled with OCPD and have some tips and tricks, please leave it in the comments. Let us know, because together we're getting better, we're getting stronger, and that's what's so amazing about this channel. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye! So now that we know what OCPD is, here's what we...
Great cut.
Done. Perfect video. Another important distinction between... Oh, sorry, I've got like something really itching me. Whew. Choo. Okay.